had a hot summer so far, and by many standards, it has been one of the more hotter ones on record. And of course, matters of climate could be controversial, but my guests tonight both say it shouldn't have to be political. They're both Bob Inglis, a former Republican congressman, head of Republican, and Chris Barnard is from the American Conservation Coalition. They're both up late with me tonight on the Final Five, both back on the show. Guys, good to see you both. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
I should say Republican, Bob. Hey, I want to start with you, Bob, because you wrote about this issue in the Hill right now. We're clearly seeing some levels that we haven't seen in a long while. There are many people that believe, hey, it's summer, it's supposed to be hot. But what have you been seeing on this front?
Well, you know, when the water near Key West gets to be 100 degrees, and when Canadian smoke gets all the way to Europe, you know, and when droughts affect Kansas farmers, it's all coming to pretty clear to us now that we're living through climate change now. It used to be that it's so far away, you know, decades away or something. Now I think we're realizing it's right here, it's right now.
So, Chris, you know, we've had discussions here on this show and with the likes of Bob and some of your colleagues at ACC about ways that you address the climate crisis. It clearly is a contentious issue for many people, and you can say that there is a problem. It seems as though it's how you approach that problem that has been the big beef for a lot of people. So when you look at the national conversation right now, where does it stand, and are we any closer now than we were before to seeing some sort of consensus on how you address these issues?
Yeah, what excites me, honestly, the most right now is that I feel like we've gotten to a point where conservatives and Republicans have actually come to the table and are no longer debating the science of climate change, but are willing to talk about solutions. And so when you look at some of the conversations happening in Congress, we're talking about ways to unleash clean energy more quickly. We're talking about ways to allow more nuclear plants to be built in this country. And so I feel like we're entering a moment of bipartisanship on this issue, despite all the divisiveness and polarization that reigns across the country. People are noticing, to Bob's point, that the climate is changing, and we're starting to come together around some solutions that could actually work. And I think this solutions first approach is actually what's going to be really necessary if we want to do something about the problem.
Bob, what are we closest to seeing in terms of action right now on this? Is there anything that's making its way through Capitol Hill? Because we know right now there are a lot of things happening on Capitol Hill. There are some things that are seen as priorities, maybe not so much by others. But are we closer to seeing anything specific that you can see on the horizon?
Well, you know, I think Chris is right about the need for a solutions first kind of agenda, because once you start talking about solutions, then you overcome the solution aversion that people have, which means, you know, if you don't think you got a solution that fits with your values, you doubt the existence of the problem, or if you don't think the solution is practical. So the more that we can show practical solutions, the better. And so, in answer to your question, Jim, the thing that's really current right now is a need for permitting reform, you know, because we've got all these incentives that were in the Inflation Reduction Act, where those things are going to work pretty powerfully on wind and solar and hopefully on nuclear and on hydrogen. But you got to get that power from where it's produced to where it's consumed. And so permitting reform is key. And then the other momentum maker, we think, is what the European Union is getting ready to do, which is to apply a tax to firms that can't show that they're as clean as European products. That's really going to be a game changer. And so it's going to, I think light bulbs are going to go on in the Capitol in the United States about that reality of us facing that when we ship stuff to Europe.
Chris, I want to point out something, too, because we were recording this in a couple of days ago. It was ACC's 6th anniversary, the group existing in its current form, where you really wanted to work to move the idea that you can be conservative and you can advocate for meaningful reform towards that. How do you think groups like yours have changed the conversation?
Well, to your point, the mission of ACC is to build the conservative environmental movement and to prove that you can actually be conservative while still caring about issues like climate change and the environment. And we were just talking about a solutions-first approach. I think really the way that we need to frame this and the way that ACC has helped to contribute in this debate is that any solution to climate change also needs to make economic sense. It needs to resonate with people on a personal level. It can't just be these abstract sacrifices that we're asking people to make. It's actually what can be good for people, what can be good for the planet, what can be good for the U.S. economy. And I think ACC has brought that message of hope and optimism to this conversation, bringing Republicans to the table. And I think that's going to be the basis of any serious climate policy that happens from here on out.
And Bob, I'll give you the last word on this. You know, having served on Capitol Hill and seeing how things can get, you know, the way they are and how partisan things can be, when you see guys like Chris and people like ACC carrying on that mission, I would assume it gives you some hope that what you stand for and what you believe and what you fought for can continue regardless of who may be in control and who may be serving in the Congress.
Without a doubt, yeah. What Chris represents and what ACC represents is young conservatives who care about climate change. And the reality, Jim, is that there's a guy who wants to win one more election. He doesn't really care so much about the Chris's of the world because he just figures he can win just one more election. But if you're somebody like Kevin McCarthy and you have a longer-term view, you really notice that Chris and ACC is coming your way, and you want to be relevant to the future. And so that's why I'm convinced we're going to win. It's just whether we win soon enough to avoid the worst consequences of climate change.
My guest tonight, Bob Inglis, Chris Barnard. Gentlemen, thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great to be with you.
And the Final Five is back after this.